While many would argue that video games are simply entertainment and not art, Skyrim is a work that both discloses a world and produces the sublime. Simply put, it is doing what art does, according to Heidegger and Kant. Skyrim is a game that has been popular with a dedicated fan base for well over a decade. This fan base will tell you without fail that the game is a buggy mess with lackluster gameplay and largely bland storytelling that they love and have been playing for 15 years. So why? Well, the answer is, at least in my case, that the world captures something that nothing else quite has since the 7th century, when an anonymous monk wrote down the tale of Beowulf. The world of Skyrim is full of snow-capped mountains and vast plains, all dotted with ancient ruins and monsters that haunt barrows, all while dragons fly overhead and brave men struggle against these forces in warm mead halls. This aesthetic is articulated best by Tolkien's analysis of Beowulf, where the monsters represent danger to be overcome and the darkness is seen as something inevitable that warriors must fight against. It is an aesthetic unique to the Northern European mythology and imagination. Skyrim, as art, uses its landscape design and music to capture this aesthetic and place the reader inside it. The landscape is large and detailed, with the ornaments of this aesthetic and available to be explored at the player's risk and whim. The music, composed by Jeremy Soule, uses choral chants and rising horns to complete the sensation from the background, with a somewhat stereotypical but undeniably effective Viking sound. Skyrim is, in many ways, downstream of Beowulf as a piece of media. The Scandinavian warrior aesthetic, mead halls, barrows, and dragon slaying are essential components of both. They are separated by well over 1,000 years in their creation, but what they share can largely be credited to Tolkien for popularizing Beowulf as a piece of art and not just bad early history. Tolkien famously argues in Beowulf, the Monsters and the Critics, that the monsters are representative of things to be overcome and parts of the life of a warrior, and that the poem's sentiments about Nordic religion and mindset had been overlooked by contemporary scholarship. His recategorization of Beowulf led to a refinement of this aesthetic and what makes it meaningful, where monster slaying is a display of virtue and power, and a harsh, cold landscape shapes a warlike people with a fondness for mead halls and storytelling. Heidegger's claim about art is that it creates a world and places you into that world, pulled from things with deep resonance and symbolism within cultures. Skyrim reconstructs the Beowulf experience of a dangerous cold world full of barrows and monsters, where the mead hall is a warm place of safety and places you inside it. It takes the elements that are deeply resonant in Northern European culture and strengthens them, as well as making them something the player can interact with. It comes as close to literally placing you into its created world as any form of art can. Kant's claim about art is kind of like a sixth sense that all humans have that transcends personal preference and culture. It feels close to a universal force of nature. The sublime, as he calls it, is an overwhelming sensation, a divine, terrifying wave that invades your senses with its vastness. It requires an almost impossible mentality to fully experience, as you must view something capable of swallowing you from a place of safety, such as a violent storm or the depths of the ocean. Skyrim is a world full of icy mountains and vast plains and deep caverns, all full of extremely present danger. The world is effective at transmitting this feeling specifically because, as a video game, the player is always in a place of safety. Skyrim ultimately takes what Tolkien identified about Beowulf and recreates it as an experience available to be played rather than observed. The detail of the landscape and the familiarity of the music are what pulls you into the world as Heidegger describes, and also what overwhelms you with what Kant describes as the sublime, which is why it remains popular after 15 years, despite its best efforts.